You're listening to
Catholic Sprouts,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith. Hey there, Sprouts. Today is Wednesday, June 10th, 2020. This week on the Catholic Sprouts podcast, we are diving into the 10 Commandments, starting with number 1. I am the Lord your God. You shall have no other gods besides me. Now, we've talked about how really obeying this commandment means that we give our entire self to God, that we love him with our whole heart, our whole mind, and our whole will. Now, perhaps you're thinking, well, yeah, I don't have any false gods. It's not like I'm worshiping those crazy Roman gods or other strange gods. I only believe in Jesus, part of the Trinity. Well, unfortunately, we can place things before God without even realizing it. Maybe we're not thinking that they're a god. Maybe we're not realizing that we're worshiping them, but they can still become an idol. So here's a little story for you. And as you listen, I want you to think about your own favorite possession and how you treat that possession. So once there was a boy. Now, he was 16 years old, and he had just gotten his driver's license. When he turned 16, his parents gave him an old beat-up car and told him that he could use it, but it was really just to take his younger brothers and sisters to school and to their activities. That it was really their car, but that he could use it as long as he was responsible. Now, the boy, he was grateful to have a car, but he really hated this car. Instead, he wanted a beautiful red sports car. He wanted it so bad. He found the particular car that he wanted. He cut a picture of a magazine out. He put it on his bedroom wall, and he would look at it for hours. And he would envision himself in this car. Oh, it would be so amazing if he had a car like that. Well, with the help of the car and permission of his parents, eventually the boy got a job. He worked in a movie theater, and he saved every penny that he had. Then he got extra jobs, raking leaves for his neighbors and doing other odd jobs, and he saved every single penny. Years went by, and his funds began to grow, and that old picture of that red car on his wall, well, it began to fade and wrinkle, but he still knew exactly what he wanted. He wanted this red car. He made all sorts of sacrifices for it too. He wouldn't go out with his friends. He wouldn't spend money on himself in any way. Every single cent money that he got from his birthday or Christmas, everything was saved so that he could have this car. Well, eventually, when he turned 21, after all of these years of savings, he finally had enough. He went with his parents to the car dealership. He found the exact car that he had been hoping for. He purchased it and he took it home. Now, just sitting in his driveway, he couldn't help but just look at it and love it. He bought special soap to scrub it with. He wouldn't let anyone in it. It was just for him. He didn't want anyone to mess it up. It was everything to him. Now, there's a story. I know most of you aren't old enough to drive or own a car, but think about that story. Now, how is the boy in this story breaking the first commandment? I didn't say a single thing about another god, about pagan worship, and yet how is he sinning against the first commandment? Well, it's simple. He has made something more important than God. This boy was so focused on getting this particular car. He was willing to make sacrifices for it. He was willing to work hard. He was willing to forego all sorts of things if he could just get this car. And once he had it, he basically worshiped it. He scrubbed it and admired it and spent as much time as he could, and he zealously protected it. This is the problem, my friends. Possessions and money can easily become idols in our life. They can become the thing that we work for, the thing that we really need to protect with all of our might. they can come between us and God. God didn't just give us this commandment so that we wouldn't worship idols anymore in the old way that they did in ancient Egypt. He gave us this commandment so that we can really investigate who owns our hearts. Who owns our hearts? And who owns our thoughts? What do you spend all of your time thinking about? Are you constantly calculating if you can afford the new Lego set? Do you think about that more than you think about the realities of God and loving the people around you? These are important questions, and they're not just questions for adults, they're questions for you too. And so, Sprouts, my challenge for you today is to think about your favorite possession, your absolute favorite possession. Something that you own, something that if it was lost or stolen, you would be devastated. Now, it's okay to have things that we love. Oftentimes, objects mean something. They represent a memory or a person that we love, and that's fine. But I want you to think, am I like this boy in this story where I love this too much, where I love it so much that it comes between me and God, where I'm willing to do things to get this or to keep this that I might not be willing to do for God? Evaluate that and be honest with yourself and really consider if you need to make some changes. That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God created you to be. Just one more thing, I hope that you're having a wonderful summer. If you would like a fun summer activity, coloring based on the ABCs to learn more about the Catholic faith, I encourage you to grab our free set of coloring pages. There's one for each letter of the alphabet, and they are super Catholic. So check the notes for this podcast episode and head over to the Catholic Family Resource Library. Everything in there is completely free for subscribers. Just simply sign up and we'll send it right to you.